Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. And I don't know if it's clear based on what I have on the screen already, but yeah, today we're going to be looking at the 2021-22 NFL playoff bracket. Now, for those of you guys who aren't already aware, most of you know I'm a gaming channel, so some of you probably don't even know this, but just look right here. Look right here. You know who I'm already pulling for. You already know who I'm pulling for, and I'm just as shocked as all of you watching or know sports. I'm just as shocked as any of you probably are. But yeah, they somehow made it. They won the rest of their games and actually ended up being getting the highest wild card spot out of them all. But yet they also have one of the lowest odds to make the Super Bowl. I've seen that they only have like a 2.34 something like that. They only Yeah, but the Philadelphia Eagles, who have the worst record out of any of the playoff teams, they have a better shot than we do. That's how much they don't believe in the Raiders to win at all. And honestly, I can't really blame them. I mean, this is a team coming in. Nobody really thought had a shot. But if you guys don't remember, in my original prediction video from the beginning of the season, right before the season began, because typically I'm on the ball for that. But in the last two seasons, I haven't really cared a whole lot because, well, COVID kind of messed everything up, and then they got all political, and I'm not really for all that stuff. So yeah, this is what their playoff bracket looks like. They've been 7 up actually. So okay, yeah. So guys, yeah, I guess playoff predictors have their own bracket, so we get to we'll just be doing it on here. I think I found out the playoff machine. They just that was only for the regular season and play to kind of figure out how playoff scenarios would work. But we're past that point. The bracket's already set, and as I said, I'm just excited my team even made it. I didn't think they had a shot, but yet I did pick them preseason though to finish with the same record they did. But I did not think they would finish with the I didn't think they'd finish the way they did, though. Of course, I was anticipating they do something differently, but no, they still did the normal Raider thing. They persevered this time and went all the way. But yeah, with just all the adversity they've been facing, this is an interesting team, I believe, heading into the playoffs. I'm gonna try to make my least biased predictions that I can, but I'm likely there might be a little smothered in there. You guys will figure out for yourselves if you think I'm being biased or not. I'll let you guys comment below because I know you will. You do on my prediction videos every year. So let's start out. I think these are all like, yeah, what the heck? Yeah, these are TBA matchups already, but yeah, we're gonna start out here down the wild card, obviously. So we're gonna start with the first matchup of the playoffs, as I just mentioned. This is where you're gonna find out how biased I am or not. We've got the Bengals and the Raiders. Of course, the game is at Cincinnati. They won their division. Sure, their record might be the same as ours at 10-7, but they probably could have won more games than they did. For one, that Cleveland game, they just rested everybody. They didn't need their whole team playing, so they just rested everybody for the Cincinnati game. Or not, they rested everyone for the Cleveland game. So it's like they basically just had a bye week. So they're going to be healthier than the Raiders are in this game. And another thing, just because I'm really excited, I'm actually going to be at that game tomorrow because this is the night before the playoffs begin. I'm going to be at that game tomorrow, and it's going to be a hell of an experience for sure because not only this year did I go to my first NFL game for the first time, but I'm going to be going to my first NFL playoff game. And I remember how intense that atmosphere was in Cincinnati the last time they played against, if you guys don't remember the 2015 wildcard matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's probably one of the best playoff games I've ever watched. And I don't think there will be one that tops it, or maybe this one does. But I'm kind of hoping for the same atmosphere there, even if they do get a little intense or violent. But I kind of tend to like that better. Okay, but on with the picks. You guys, I pretty much came out and said I might be a little biased here, but I've got to take this team. All of that they've went through, man. I think the Raiders, they're not a clean-cut favorite. I think Cincinnati could very well just win this game as well, and it will probably be close because, well, the last 4 games they've won have been close. And that's why they give all of their fans, including me, a gosh darn heart attack every time that Daniel Carlson comes out. I mean, most of the time we know he's going to make it, but of course we know how kickers in the NFL are. It's like that Vikings kicker. We could all of a sudden rely on this guy, and he could lose us the game, which I'm not going to bash him for it. He's gotten us this far, so if we lose it on his leg, I got to blame the rest of the team because they let it come down to that, really. Why make this guy come out with a throbbing heart every time he kick a field goal? But I think the reason I like them is not only the adversity with like Nate Hobbs just last week and John Gruden and the emails and the death of John Madden and Henry Ruggs. I mean, I could name a bunch of just issues this team has had. They cannot get off the news when it comes to sports. There's always something going on in this organization that's just not ethical, but they persevere with as unlikely as it was for them to make it here, and as much as it was going to take for them to get here, they did it. They accomplished what they had to, and I'm glad that they're there. Because as I said, I figure the chances of them making it to the playoffs were about as good as them. You know, like most of you don't know this because I didn't post the vlog, but I was actually in Cleveland. I watched the game in Cleveland. That's really where I knew where they were going to decide if they wanted to make a playoff run or not. I felt like the minute they won that game, I felt something about it. It's like, you know, this is a game they would typically lose, you know. It was already pretty much over. Derek Carr throws an interception. Cleveland just needs a first down. But they get the stop, and they drive down the field, and Daniel Carlson with a field goal. And that was just the first game out of a 4-game saga, which will now go to 5 if that's what this becomes. Unless they whoop our ass like they did in the last game, I don't see this not coming down to a Daniel Carlson field goal. Either that or a Derek Carr touchdown, because that's happened before too. There's been a lot of games in their history with the Carr at the helm where he's actually been their game saver, but essentially that's what he's been. Or he can be when he needs to. But I'm not super confident about it because really both teams have been irrelevant when it comes to the playoffs, and they both have a really good team. I think Derek Carr in total passing yards has only thrown 7 more yards than Joe Burrow has. Speaking of him, he's a threat on the other side for Cincinnati, Burrow and Chase. But we stopped them before, not even allowing 200 yards total passing that game. So I don't think that'll be an issue. And I really don't think running will be either. I think they're going to have a lot more trouble scoring than any of their fans realize. I do like the Raiders, but not by a lot. So, yeah, let me take the Raiders there. But I wouldn't be shocked to see Cincinnati win. That's just how up in the air that is. But for all of you Cincinnati fans, just remember, 1990. Okay, so next we have the Bills-Patriots, which will be, I believe, that same night, if I'm correct. Which I probably won't see this game because I'll be on my way home by that point. But this is interesting because this is a divisional rivalry. It's much like how I had Pittsburgh and Cleveland playing in the wild card in the preseason, as you guys remember that. So I could really see it going either way here. But I like the Bills. As you guys may actually remember, I picked the Raiders to play the Bills in the wild card round. That's actually the draw I thought they were going to get. But I think the reason I actually went and changed my pick from then is because I like Cincinnati better than I like Buffalo or Kansas City. You probably got the best draw. And unless you were going to play Tennessee without Derrick Henry, that's probably your best draw. And so I think that's why they'll probably end up winning, because they got the best possible draw that they were going to get. And not only does it seem that there's a decent chance that this team could actually win, but hell, they've actually been playing pretty well when they haven't had a chance, when they were the underdog, especially against a team like Cincinnati. And you got to think, yeah, they already beat us earlier this season. So there's going to be a revenge factor there, and I hope it plays in really well. I really should stop talking about it, but I'm excited. I'm sorry. It's been 5 years. Surprisingly, within the time that from when I started this channel to now, but still, that's a very long time anyway. But yeah, I think I'm just going to go with the Bills anyway because I believe that they are a caliber of team that can end up. They have the caliber of a team to get to the Super Bowl. Will they? We'll see. We'll see. That's what I'm here to predict. But I do believe they can at least win that game over the Patriots. But I wouldn't be shocked to see it the other way because they have Bill Belichick and a nice little run game there they've established that's got them going for most of the season. But still, they even collapsed near the end of the season, finishing 10-7. So then, your last game in the AFC, you got the Chiefs and the Steelers. You guys may be surprised that I've actually had to think about this for a bit because I honestly could see Pittsburgh winning because I remember the Steelers picking the Steelers to be in this same matchup, the 7-2, but of course against their division rival, the Cleveland Browns. But this time they'll be but they do get a rematch against somebody, though, which is why I still think you got to take into account the revenge factor here. But will it be as big as, say, for the Raiders or the Bills? I don't know. I mean, Pittsburgh, they will probably be more competitive than they were before. But it's that same theory. Do we really ever see a 7 beating a 2? Now, as I said before, the only reason I saw that happening was because it was a division rivalry between the Browns and the Steelers. So the Steelers were seeking revenge from last year when they got their butts blown out in that playoff game. And I could see them maybe wanting to seek revenge against Kansas City for pretty much doing the same thing in the same stadium. But yeah, I actually have been considering taking the Steelers here. Because even though Kansas City, in my opinion, is the better team, not always does the better team win, and you also have to think Kansas City has not been the same team that we've known the last 3 or 4 seasons under Patrick Mahomes. I mean, sure, he bounced back and they had a nice finish to the season, but I don't really believe that they're one of the hottest teams coming in right now, and I believe that plays an important factor, and neither are the Steelers really. But I think knowing that whatever game they lose will probably be Ben's last, I think this team is going to play hard and they're going to fight for that guy. Because besides what Antonio Brown had to say about him, I think everyone else he's played with in his career has actually respected him. So, the energy right now, I believe the Chiefs are the better team. But just the energy, they kind of have a similar thing with the Raiders, but, it's a little bit different. They haven't faced as much adversity. At the same time, they're I think just like us, they're stoked to be in the playoffs too because they have a really passionate fan base. They love their football team. It's probably the biggest NFL fan base in the sport. Honestly, yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of support for the Steelers. They're out in Kansas City, so as much as and plus, I don't like Chiefs. You guys may think it's biased, but I actually believe that Pittsburgh has a legitimate shot here to win this game. I believe Ryan Clark formerly of the Steelers on ESPN said that, but of course I could just be biased, but I'm not biased for the Steelers. I am biased against the Chiefs, but not for the Steelers. Hell, if I wanted to be biased and pick somebody against Kansas City, it'd be these guys, not the Steelers. Yeah, but I think I'm going to pull the trigger. I think I like the Steelers here. I'm really surprised to hear myself say that, but yeah, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so next, we've got Buccaneers Eagles. As much as you guys have heard me ramble about the AFC, that ain't going to take much time at all. Buccaneers by a bunch because I think truly the Eagles have the worst record in the playoffs, and I believe that stands true. Yeah, I believe that's going to stand true how they play as well, because I really don't think they're going to play all that great. So give me the Buccaneers. Cowboys 49ers. This isn't going to take much time either. I mean, the clear favorite is the Cowboys because they're playing at home and all. But I don't really believe that it matters if they're playing at home or not. The Cowboys are just generally not a great playoff team. They can usually get one win. But I think I like the Niners here better. They've shown that in a shorter amount of time they can accomplish a lot more. And the 49ers, they're actually, in my opinion, they're a dangerous team. That whole NFC West division, all those teams that got in are dangerous. I mean, Seattle's even dangerous in my opinion, but they just didn't make the playoffs. Yeah, but I think that whole NFC West division is, they're on fire. So I would not be shocked to see any one of them go all the way to the Super Bowl and even potentially win it, even though they're 4, 5, 6, which would not play in their favor for that to happen. But nonetheless, I believe there's a decent shot for it too. So, and as this matchup suggests, the Niners will go on the road and play the Packers. And then the final matchup is an NFC West matchup. You're going to find out which one is more potent here, because I believe they're both really good on both sides of the ball. So this should, besides the Bangles Raiders, this should be the other really good matchup this weekend. Let me tell you, I think the Cardinals are one of the most dynamic teams in the NFL. Even though they, in recent weeks, they've been struggling, they haven't been on the uptrend. I still feel like going on the road here against the Rams plays in their favor. I think the Rams are capable too, and I think whoever wins this is like I just said a second ago, is definitely capable of a deep playoff run. I think it's the Arizona Cardinals. You guys remember me picking them? I had them as the 3 seed and going all the way to the NFC Championship. I still like them to win this game, but they're playing a completely different team than I had anticipated before. I thought they were going to be playing the Falcons. They will be playing an NFC South team, just not the one that I thought. Of course, I knew the Buccaneers would be good. I picked them as a 7 seed to get into the playoffs, but stupid of me, I actually had them losing to the Falcons. Which if I had just stuck with the obvious prediction, I would have taken Tampa Bay, because obviously Tom Brady, that guy doesn't lose. And they have a whole bunch of pieces on that team too. It isn't just Brady. That whole team's really good. I should have done way better there thinking about that. I should have definitely picked Tampa Bay. Yeah, there was an NFC South team that did finish about second though. At least I had that part right. I didn't have Tampa Bay. And now we're just going to go left to right here. We got Cardinals Buccaneers, as I just talked about. The Buccaneers are not a team that should be underestimated, because this team is very much capable of going back to the Super Bowl and winning it all again. Of course, we all know Tom Brady has only done that once in his 20-plus year career. But like I said, we know how capable this guy is of going to the Super Bowl. Now, I didn't click that yet. Hey. No. Can I unclick that? Okay, good, I did. I was like, I didn't. My mouse goes nuts. I think you guys have probably noticed that by now with my mouse when I'm on this website. But Cardinals Buccaneers, as I said, the Cardinals are built to be a team that makes a deep playoff run. But the Buccaneers, this is really tough. I mean, the Buccaneers, they remind me a lot of the Chiefs, and even the team that they're playing too, the Cardinals. I mean, they haven't been the most hot in the last few weeks, because not only did they lose that game to the Saints, who didn't make the playoffs at home, but they also haven't looked that impressive, you know. They're starting off so sure. They've blown out some teams, but they've also started off really slow against teams I don't think they should have, and have played some close games. So, but the Cardinals have too. They lost to the Colts, who didn't make the playoffs. Honestly, they're both guilty in that position. But I think I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna stick with my prediction from earlier in the season, and I'm gonna take the Cardinals to make it to the NFC Championship. This time as a 5 seed rather than a 3. Kind of similar to last year when I picked Green Bay and Tampa Bay in the when I picked Green Bay and Tampa Bay to play in the conference title game. But except I underestimated Tampa Bay last year. That's why I'm saying don't underestimate this team, because I did that last year and I was wrong. But I am going to take them to lose earlier this year just because I believe the Cardinals. At one point, they did have the best record in the NFL. And I still believe they are one of the best teams easily. Even if they didn't win their division. They should have, though, but they didn't. I've got the Cardinals. Then you've got San Francisco and Green Bay. As I said, really any of those NFC West teams are built to make a deep run. Whenever Jimmy G's healthy, man, the 49ers, I think, can be just as dynamic as the Cardinals. Not as much, obviously. Cardinals had a better record by one game. I'm surprised it was really only one game. I was about to say 2 or 3, but now I realize that there's only one game that separates those two. But I still believe Arizona is the better team. They played better earlier in the season. They just choked a little bit late, but I still believe they're one of the best teams. And of course, with San Francisco, I think they've been showing up at the right time. I think within the last 5 games or so, or 6 maybe. Their only loss was against the 1-seeded Titans in the AFC, and only by 3 points on the road. So that's impressive. But debatably, you can say the Packers might be better than Tennessee, and they most certainly have the best record. So we already know they're better in that regard. But does that mean they're better than San Francisco? I say so. Even though San Francisco's had a pretty good track record against Green Bay in the playoffs, I'm still going to have to take Packers. Because I think they played... I know the Packers have actually won the last 2 matchups. They won this year and last year, both at San Francisco. Now they get it at home, and I think, I think it's mainly Kaepernick and Harbaugh in tandem that was a threat to Green Bay. But now that the 49ers don't have that, I think the Packers can... I wouldn't say easily, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them win by 2 possessions or something. And then you got the Steelers. I'm not taking any time here. The Steelers, I think, I'm really saying a lot of why they got through that first round was they kind of got lucky. You're not going to see a 7 seed make it any farther than this. And I believe the Titans beat the Steelers way worse than they lost in the regular season. But most of you probably forget, or you probably didn't, or maybe you did. But the Titans, they lost at Pittsburgh 19-13 in the regular season. Titans get their revenge, and it's not even close. I think this team, they're on a mission, and they want to win the Super Bowl. And I believe they have the team to do it as long as Derrick Henry is healthy. And I believe he will be. So they move on to the conference title. Then you've got the Raiders at the Bills. The matchup that I had originally predicted in the last round, the wild card, because I had the Raiders as a 6 rather than a 5. But I don't know. Like I said, this team, they kind of have that energy built around them where they could make a deep playoff run. I don't really believe talent-wise they're capable of it. But I believe there are a lot of other factors that play into it. Like I said, the adversity they faced, the toughness and the grit that they show on the field with that front 4. I love their front 4, man. I watch them every week, and I'm on my feet yelling, just get them front 4. Whether it's Justin Herbert, it's Nick Mullins, it's Drew Lock, it's Carson Wentz. That's the 4 quarterbacks they played in the last 4 weeks. I know 2 of them were backups, so you can almost say, but the Raiders got lucky. They played some backups. Well, I don't care. You got to think. The Colts even got away with having players with COVID on the field, and they still didn't lose. Or they still couldn't beat us. So you can keep saying whatever you want, but this team, they proved what they had to. So here they are, and now hopefully if it plays out like I said it would tomorrow, they'll get to play the Bills in the divisional round. Honestly, I gotta take the Raiders. You guys are going to call me biased because of the hat I'm wearing, but I've got to take them. I believe they're capable of it. And the truth is, I think if Cincinnati wins, they are too. But that's the matchup you'd want, I think, if you're Cincinnati. Tennessee would run all over Cincinnati. That team, and that's where I think that biggest weakness I saw is their offense is really good, but their defense, like if you guys had seen them play against Baltimore when they had that Josh Jackson guy starting, he's the third string quarterback. Baltimore looks like they're about ready to lead two different comebacks here. And sure, they didn't let him come back, but the fact of the matter is that was a third string quarterback. Could have easily put up 4 touchdowns in that game, and I think he even ran for one too. I might be wrong about that, but of course I don't follow the Ravens and Bengals. But I have seen a few of their games living in Ohio. I get their station, so I see some of their games. But yeah, the team just doesn't have much of a defense. On the other hand, like I said, I love the Raiders' front four. I absolutely can see them making a run with their front four. And if the Bengals, but they'll also tell you too, it's a more modern football now. How offenses will win you games more than defense. So I believe you have to have some sort of a defense if you're going to win any games. Which I believe Cincinnati is all right, but compared to the front four that I've seen, of the Raiders going after the quarterback, man, it's stellar. Like, you got Max Crosby, you got Divine Diablo, you got Yannick Ngakoue. Good Lord, there's so many. And then Quinn Jefferson. Yeah, I think that's your front four right there. I might be wrong about Ngakwe's position, but I know 3 of the 4 guys play on that front four. Those guys are beasts. They will not let anyone run or pass against them. Well, that's not true. I mean, it tends to be a lot of the time in the fourth quarter. The front four doesn't really do a whole lot because the scheme is not built for them to succeed as well. But I think they've done enough to where, hell, we've been able to win games, even though they've almost done the Raider thing, They didn't. The idea is they've been winning when they needed to, and that's why they've gotten this far. The honest truth is, I can see 2 versions of this team. One that finds a way to lose against Cincinnati tomorrow and it's not even close, or one that finds a way to win close games but wins against teams that nobody expected them to. One of them such being the Bills. I mean, I can definitely see the Raiders beating the Bills. Just because a lot has to do with adversity. I mean, the Bills are really good on both sides of the ball too, but as I said, even though Josh Allen looks like one of the best quarterbacks right now, I mean, he hasn't faced front four like this, man. These guys are scary, and that's personally, I think that might be the best unit on the team. Is that front those guys on the D line running for the quarterback, and then maybe Derek Carr and Daniel Carlson. Actually, I'm not giving enough credit to the game managers. Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, and Daniel Carlson. Those are probably the 3 other potent threats. I'd like to say Darren Waller, but we've been winning games without him, so I'm not going to include him. Cardinals and Packers. Now, you guys, if you remember my original Super Bowl prediction, I had the Packers and the Titans going up against each other. And I had 3 of these 4 teams making the conference championship. As you guys saw, though, I've thrown in a curveball. I've got the Raiders making it instead of the Chiefs. The reason so is because I believe even if the Chiefs beat the Steelers, I still don't believe they're a good enough team to make the Super Bowl. I just don't, especially from what I've seen. They were even worse than I thought they were going to be. But yet I noticed a lot of the games they won, or the games they lost early on, came against teams that ended up making the Super. I'm speaking too far ahead. Teams that ended up making the playoffs. As I said, the energy surrounding the Steelers, I just feel like with Big Ben, almost being done, that energy will be enough to carry them through KC. Because historically, KC's not been a great home team in the playoffs. So I can see them struggling, but I think everyone just looks past the idea that they've struggled because all of a sudden they found a rhythm with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and everything just because they won a Super Bowl. Well, just because they won a Super Bowl and then went back to it next year doesn't mean that you're going to see that team again. For one, that team both years in a row actually looked pretty good. Like Chiefs, I think last year had the best record in the NFL, and the year before that they were the 2 seed. But there were some upsets that happened too that got them there. Say they play Baltimore, hell, you don't know if they make the Super Bowl. So I mean, that's just how the NFL goes, man. And that's why I think people in college football really want to see an expansion, because it would be really exciting to see this type of system where the teams you expect to go to the Super, like the number 1 seed, or the top seeds in the upsets can happen, especially in the NFL. They happen quite more frequently than in college football. The idea of like a Pittsburgh type team this year who was number 12 being able to beat a team like Michigan or Cincinnati in the playoff. That'd be a cool concept, Like these teams that previously wouldn't have a shot and you wouldn't even picture making it all the way. But now there have been stories in the NFL, like for example, Pittsburgh one year was the 6th seed. They were the worst team in the playoffs with an 11-5 record, and they ended up going all the way and getting some unexpected upsets to make it to the Super and win it all. Sure, there were some questionable calls in that Super Bowl, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about underdogs who make the sport exciting. Like, you wouldn't believe a team like the Steelers would beat the Chiefs, but that's just the whole point. Sometimes unexpected upsets happen, and for one, that's also how you win bracket games and stuff too. You got to go outside a little bit and predict the unexpected. Okay, so I probably went off track there, but now it's time to get to the picks. These last conference championship picks. You got the Cardinals and Packers. A lot of it probably came from me discussing how the Raiders are kind of a Cinderella here, but that's kind of, unless you're perfect at predicting, you'll probably find one of those at some point. Because you can't expect to pick all the number 1 seeds and be correct about it. But the Cardinals, in a way, also remind me of last year's Tampa Bay a little bit, too. They were kind of underlooked because they came to the playoffs as a wild card, and nobody thought they'd be able to beat the Saints because they had already beaten Brady twice. And plus, it was Breeze's last year, so they're thinking, this is probably the Saints' year to go win it all, even if they have to go to Green Bay. And well, they ended up being wrong. Tom Brady is not a guy you want to bet against, but yet for some reason I'm picking against him here. And only because, like I said, I really like this Cardinals team. I think they've got, this is really, really the definition of a modern football team and how you can kind of succeed in the NFL that way. They're young, but not only do they have a lot of speed, but talent on the offense. And they got J.J. Watt, too. That's another thing. That guy plays both sides of the ball, so it's really exciting and DeAndre Hopkins is like they basically took half the Texans who ended up making the Super Bowl. Not the Super Texans have never been in the Super Bowl. They took half the Texans team that was making the playoffs every other year, sometimes even back-to-back years. But that's what's basically making the Cardinals successful now, and I really like it, I think, maybe J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins have a better chance to win with this team than they did the Texans, because, the Texans just seem like a type of organization that will always shoot themselves in the foot, and as much of a shot as they have to get anywhere, they won't. Because it's a lot like a Cleveland or a Detroit, They're teams that at times were capable of doing it, but would just shoot themselves in the foot because of people inside the organization who weren't in for their best interest. But anyway, let's get to the chase. I had Green Bay before, and Green Bay won this matchup at Arizona in the regular season. I like the Cardinals in a grudge matchup. I like them to make it to the Super Bowl. Because I even talked about in the preseason matchup, I'm like, I kind of like this Arizona team. Like, I think, maybe they can go into Green Bay and get that upset because not only, like the 49ers stuff, they had a good history against Green Bay, but, like, I believe this is actually one of the best teams in the NFL. It's much like the Raiders. They end up choking near the end of the season and losing a bunch of games. But the good thing for the Cardinals is they were basically already penciled in early on, so they're still in, and that's the big part about it. Of course, they have to go on the road for basically every game now, but that's the consequence that they're going to pay for not winning more games. But I don't think that hurts them. They've been more of a road team. And I think that's just why I kind of like this team to go win 3 straight to get to the Super Bowl. Now, with that being said, now let's predict the AFC Championship. As I said, there will be a healthy. I believe if he's not healthy by the divisional round, he will be in the conference title game. And I don't think that bodes well for the Raiders because they gave up over 100 yards to Jonathan Taylor. And even though that was the only game the Colts had lost all year when not putting up 100 yards. Or that was the only game they lost when putting up 100 yards. But yeah, they even gave up over 100 yards to that guy. And Henry easily, if he was in, he'd be the MVP of the NFL right now. He'd be the not only Offensive Player of the Year, but the MVP. That guy is a beast and is way better than Jonathan Taylor. So I hate to say it, if this guy's in, he's steamrolling all over the Raiders. And as much as I said, I love this team, and I would love for them to go all the way to the Super Bowl. I just think the Titans, man, they are what they are. They're Titans. They're giants, Basically, the Raiders would be David, and the Titans are Goliath. Even though the Titans historically have never been super great. I mean, they've had a couple of seasons under Jim Fisher. I said Jim Fisher. See, that's how relevant he is now. Well, Jeff Fisher, he led them to a couple of seasons where they were the 1 seed. Like in 2008 when they had Vince Young. And they may have even been number 1 when they had McNair, too, back in the late 90s when they lost that Super Bowl to the Rams. But nope, I like them to get there here. I like the Titans just like I did in the preseason. And that's why I was really excited when I found out they were the 1 seed. But what I'm also disappointed about is since my Raiders got in, now I can't root for the Titans now because, well, I'm going to root for my team. Why would I be rooting for the Titans? Especially if they collide, because I think there's a very good possibility. Because if this pick ends up being wrong here, then it'll be the Titans and the Raiders in the divisional round. Which might bode well better for us, because then we might have a better shot of not having to play with Derrick Henry. But I almost wholeheartedly believe that if Derrick Henry is actually, I was about to say something completely different than what I was thinking. Yeah, but if we play him in the conference title game, the likelihood of him being back, in my opinion, is almost 100. As opposed to the divisional round, you can say about 50-50. I mean, it's like Waller, Darren Waller, our tight end. There was debate about him coming back, but it actually ended up taking him a lot longer for him to come back than anyone had predicted. So, yeah, we're just glad he's back, and we'll definitely need him tomorrow in the playoffs. That's one thing for sure. Now, not just tomorrow, but throughout the whole playoffs. That's what I meant. I said tomorrow. Tomorrow may not be it, or it could be it, and I'm disappointed. But I'll probably be vlogging it or something, so you guys will see how I react to it. Okay, so on to the Super Bowl. As I said, I would try not to be biased. If I was biased, I'd probably take the Raiders here, but no, I take pride in these predictions, okay? I like to be right. For as much as I love the Raiders to go all the way and play against the Cardinals or the Packers or whoever it is in the Super Bowl, I just don't think that's something you can expect for this season. But as I said, I do feel an energy around this team where they might do some things that you don't expect. But the Super Bowl, in my opinion, is just not one of them. I don't really believe that. I do believe that they have a nice road there. I think that there is definitely a better chance than they were given to make the Super Bowl. So as I said, they run into the Titans with no Derrick Henry. I think there's a very good possibility they win that game. But if there's Derrick Henry, I don't like their chances as much. But if I were the Raiders, I'd rather play the I'd rather play the Titans and play the Bills in the conference title. Because not only will they be as worn down as you, but I think by that point you will have enough time to prepare for them. Because, as I said, Buffalo's debatably they might be the best team in the AFC. We don't know, but we'll find that out as everything plays out. And I think that's what's exciting because there's been a lot of parity this year, and there hasn't been one clear-cut favorite to win at all. So I think we're going to see a lot of we might be more aptable to seeing more upsets than we normally would because of the parity we've seen. Like last year, it was pretty clear that Kansas City, Green Bay, that was the expected Super Bowl matchup. Of course, it ended up being the Buccaneers, but with Tom Brady, that wasn't a surprise either. I think this year you can expect a little more of one because the Cardinals and the Titans, neither of them have a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes. Of course, they have some star players for sure, but they definitely don't stand out like the Chiefs or the Buccaneers or the Patriots have in the last, say, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But yeah, who I like in this matchup, just like before, I will take the Tennessee Titans to win the Super Bowl. Same as before. I just changed a few things because not only did some teams I picked not make it, some teams I picked to make it ended up being in different spots and all that. And then I ended up growing to like the Cardinals. I ended up growing to like them better. And the reason why that never changed is because they pretty much proved me right. Sure, I didn't expect them to, if you guys don't remember, this is actually going to be a rematch from week 1, but Tennessee got blown out at home by Arizona in that first week. I think you'll see the Titans will definitely show up a lot more than they did then because they know what to expect from the Cardinals now. I think a lot of it is the Cardinals, they're just like, we're here. I think the Cardinals were the Titans kind of overlooked their opponent, and the Cardinals are like, we're here, and, well, here they are. Sure, they might have ended up finishing the 5 seed, and disappointingly, even with a loss on the road against the Lions. As I said, this team, just like before, they're here. I think a lot of it is they knew they were already in. They felt a little comfortable, so they kind of just let some things slide, and I think they're going to crack down a bit on it more here as we head into the playoffs. As I said, this Titans team, I like them. I like them a lot more than I did in the first week of the season because they'll be much more prepared, and well, I think they'll be playing their best too because if Derrick Henry comes back at full health, he'll definitely be ready for this. So yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe if you want more content like this. Of course, I'm not really a sports channel. I do make some sports videos like for big events like for March Madness and NFL predictions and all that. I mean, if you guys really want me to talk about sports a little more, I probably could. I feel like I wouldn't mind that because you guys can probably tell by now, I'm actually a pretty big fan of sports, so I would have no problem making sports content more often. I made a poll back in October about it. So if you guys want to see me make sports videos more often, then I'd be fine with that. Just let me know in the comments, or if I ever make another poll, vote in it to voice your opinion a little bit. I never have a problem doing any of that stuff. But yeah, if you did enjoy, like and subscribe, and you haven't seen my preseason prediction video, I mean, to you it might be a little irrelevant by now, but if you're still just interested to see what my original picks were for every team and how I thought they'd finish, you can go check that in the link in the description below. And all my other links will be there as well. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching, and peace.